Today, what I'd like to do is kind of talk about the opportunities that arise with blame, how we, by how we relate to them. So at the end of our time yesterday, I told a story about my father. When my father was 4 years old, he was born in 1920. And during that time, they delivered ice. There were no freezers. They delivered ice on the front porch or on the lawn, wherever they did. And kids from the neighborhood would just come in and they'd chip off a little chunk of the ice and they'd suck on it. And that would be fun for them, right? Well, this was a ritual, and my father at 4, like all the other kids, was out there doing the same thing, as was his little brother, age 3. Well, his little brother must have eaten a piece of dirty ice, and his brother died. And my father, at 4 years old, was told that he was the older brother and that he was responsible for his death, like he should have watched for his younger brother. And he was said to that once, but it stayed with him for his whole life. And I saw the pain that it brought him when he thought about it, when he talked about it. And it's the thing that I'm very aware of is how we have to be so careful with our words and so careful with blame. It can be such a knee jerk to want to just reach out and blame. And we want to be very careful with it, because whether we're offering it or on the receiving end, it doesn't feel good. So again, kind of reflect. How do you respond? How do we respond when we ourselves are blamed? When we're blamed wrongfully or rightfully? Do you know the difference? You really know the difference inside between when you're blamed wrongfully and rightfully. That's asking of us to actually pause long enough to let it land and feel the truthfulness of it in order for us to discern that. How true is it? Is it true? Is it useful? Is it right? Is it not right? So, how do you react? What is your default? Really consider that. What is the knee-jerk reaction when an accusation comes your way? Before it even lands, are you already, defending it? Let's try to slow it down a little bit so we can see what's going on. I know none of us like to make mistakes. None of us like to be at fault, but we're human. We're fallible. We're not perfect. So we will make mistakes and we will hurt people that we know, that we don't know, that we love, that we don't know at all. But do we know when we've made a mistake or when somebody has inaccurately blamed us for something? Do we know that difference? I think to be wrongly accused of something, assigned too much blame for something, or it's not accurate at all, it's hard. It's doubly hard for us to sit there and to hold ourselves and receive that. Because every bone in the body, every part of you is screeching, no, not me, not true, right? But let's hold the reactivity. Let's learn to stay grounded and hold that reactivity in real time. Because right in that moment, when that's happening, you need to be held. You need to be held. So check in, hold the reactivity, and then check in and listen. Can you listen to what the person is saying? Breathe, and can you listen? Is it true? Were you in any way implicated in the error, the harm, or the incident? Likely, you still are holding the discomfort of being called out, whether or not it's true. It doesn't feel good. So hold that. That's real. It doesn't feel good. But then really check in on the next breath and begin to see, like, where does the truth lie here? And how we begin to do that, we slow our breathing down, tether the breath to the body to the ground. Listen from in there to what is being said. Let it register. Maybe you were just there on the sidelines, but you saw it. Just notice, just notice. Maybe you weren't even there at all. Just notice how it feels. Hold that while someone is speaking. And this can take practice because, we all have our own coping strategies when stuff like this happens. But that person also has their own coping strategies when they get activated. So somebody's coming at you with their activation. Hold steady, hold steady. Those are the winds blowing at you, blowing at you. Hold steady. We don't need more winds, right? If you can do this, right? If you can just like stay there, then we can really begin to discern what's the best way to proceed. Was I part of the situation or not? What was my role? What was my intention? Was ill will present when I was planning this, when I was speaking, when I did the deed? Was I not there at all? What happened? Was that the intended outcome, or was it something wildly different? If someone was hurt or harmed, can we at least let the hurt or harm be registered, whether it was our fault or not? Just to see that other person in their triggered state in pain, can we just see that and hold our own? And this is not to be in an unsafe situation. I'm not talking in that respect, but just holding our own. But in this way of steadying ourselves and feeling into the truth of it, feeling into our reactivity, we discover the possibilities of what to do next, how to restore harmony, how to stay in relationship, how to restore balance, how to make amends. The other day, an incident occurred. Bill and I were with a friend, and an incident occurred, and our friend was hurt. And our friend shared that with us. And it was hard to hear. It was humbling to have not seen something that should have been so obvious in retrospect, and like, oh my. Not to defend it, but to stand there and receive it and really let it register. This person got hurt. No intention of checking in, like, oh goodness, no intention to have that happen. But that isn't indeed what happened. That was the impact. Intention, good intention, impact was an ouch. Oh my, not lined up, not lined up. Let that register. You know that old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Right? Well, that old saying is there for a reason, because we all know that to be true. We don't know sometimes when we've stepped in it until we step in it. And then, oh, okay, all right, you're human. So am I, so are they. Can we stand there and be big enough to feel that and see that and bear witness to their pain and say, I'm so sorry. And even if we weren't there to say, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry. But that can only come if I'm not getting defensive and all upset because somebody is coming at me with blame, because I can really register the truth of it. I'm not afraid to see that I might have made a mistake. I'm not afraid to see that. Oh my goodness, it's such a relief to know I'm human. Oh my gosh. And I really think these days, and we need to be reminded of that, because public discourse is filled with folks just slinging arrows of blame across divides, left and right, creating divides. This human realm, we live in extremes. We do this. Actually, there's a part of us that's more comfortable with the extremes than we are with the middleness, which is why mindfulness, called the middle path, the middle way, is so darn difficult. It's an easier time for us to like our heroes and our villains, to like the do-gooders, and to not like the badniks, right? Much easier that way. Not really easier it's not fun or easy to navigate the gray zone, which we really live in. But there's no escape from these swings of praise and blame. No escape. So what do you do when you're on the receiving end? my encouragement is that you take a breath. Notice, oh, what's coming at you. Take a breath. Tether the breath to the body to the ground. Breathe, and now stay right there and receive the words. Let them land. So the heart mind, not just the mind, the heart mind and the body can register what is being said. What's true? What isn't? Harm has clearly happened. Oh my. First of all, I'm so sorry, no matter what. I'm sorry for that. Now, second of all, let me see, do I have any part in this? And if I do, now I can begin to think about what I need to say. And if I have been a part of that, I can begin to think about what might I do differently the next time? Because surely I don't want to cause harm. And surely I'm going to. And I might learn from this time the way somebody spoke to me, how I might want to speak to someone else when they have caused me harm. Right? I can slow it down just enough to stay in the present moment with what's going on. I can begin to start to see a little bit more of what's happening. That takes practice. But we begin by, getting our bearings, just like this. So this is my encouragement, that you learn how to stay grounded. You learn how to tether the breath to the body to the ground, and you learn to try to stay here in a body breathing, receiving and feeling what's happening, discerning what just occurred, empathizing with the pain that has occurred, and considering what needs to happen. What a beautiful thing. That's out of the heart of loneliness. See, that's what we're learning. Enough words. Thank you so much for your kind attention.